Welcome back. It is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles with me, Parker behind the glass, producing. Good to be with you. Starting off your weekend right. I love doing this.
Happy Saturday. Good to have you back, man. We missed you last week.
Thank you. Last week, in case you didn't know, I was in Toronto. My wife and my mother-in-law, her mom, they went to go see the Eras Tour in Toronto. So my father-in-law and we tagged along. We did not go to the concert. We just had a good time on the town with the boys.
Basically, Christian's saying that Taylor Swift is more important than Alex Napoles, but that's fine.
Well,
that's fine.
Not that, but she is.
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, from all accounts of what I've heard, the concert was incredible.
Good.
I'm very glad my wife and my mother-in-law got to go. I don't really regret not going myself because the tickets were just an outrageous price. But according to my wife, it was worth it.
Good. I'm glad they had fun, man, and I'm glad you had fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've earned a vacation despite what Lloyd Cole says.
I know. Well, to be fair, I mean we booked this way like a very long time ago before I ever knew that I would be doing this show every Saturday. But anyways, yeah, it was fun. Good to get out. The reason I went is because it's like how many opportunities am I going to get to go to Toronto, right?
Right.
I've heard a lot of good things about this city, and I had a lot of fun. It was a very, very cool experience. It's an awesome city, very walkable, lots of things to do within, a 10 or 15-minute walk. So I had fun, but I'm back, and man, what a week.
Yeah, the holiday right smack in the middle of it, too.
Yeah, it felt really weird producing the daily shows. Like it felt like coming in on a weekend almost.
Yeah, it definitely had a Saturday feeling to it. I definitely woke up yesterday and I was just like, this is definitely the weekend.
Yeah.
But then I remembered it was Friday, and so we all had to be here.
Had to work.
That's
How's
all
your
right.
Thanksgiving?
Good, man. So my little sister, she's off in New Mexico playing college soccer. And she flew in, or obviously earlier this week for the holiday. So it was really cool to spend time with the family, with the siblings. Basically played Mario Party all day. Did have to come in here for a little bit, but then went back and played some more Mario Party. So it was a good holiday, man. How was yours?
It was good. My wife and I bought a house actually a couple weeks ago. I don't know if I've announced that on here yet, but it was a big deal for us. We're super excited for that. And then for Thanksgiving, her parents drove up from Las Vegas. They live down there. They spent the week with us at our new place. And then my parents from Brigham City, they came down and we hosted Thanksgiving to break in our new house. So it was pretty fun doing that.
That's awesome, man.
I did have a sprinkler pipe break last night though.
No.
So it's like welcome to being a homeowner literally right away. But anyways, we'll get that taken care of. But Thanksgiving was great.
Good, man. I'm glad you had a good holiday.
What was your favorite dish?
So my parents didn't want to make anything this year.
Yeah.
And so my brother ended up getting R&R catered. Kind of.
Really?
Yeah, they had like this holiday meal where they gave you like a turkey and a bunch of sides. And so he ended up getting R&R. And we had some turkey, had some ham, mashed potatoes, the whole deal.
That's great. Yeah. I don't know if you've probably seen, everybody online has seen this. This girl named Tina or something on TikTok, she made like a mac and cheese recipe and it went crazy viral. I'm sure I'd say like 60% of households probably made this mac and cheese recipe for Thanksgiving. Anyways, that's what I made. It turned out pretty good.
Good. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not online that often to know who Tina is, but
I think her name's Tina. Anyways, thanks, Tina.
Shout out, Tina.
For carrying Thanksgiving this year. Let's talk some sports, though, Alex. That's what we're here to do.
Let's do it.
Let's start with Utah, obviously. Getting the big win last night, 28-14 over UCF. Snapping a 7-game losing streak. Setting the seniors out with a win. Potentially Kyle Whittingham's last game of his career. It was a big day for the Utes playing on a Black Friday. What are your initial thoughts and takeaways from this?
Good to end the season on a positive note.
Avoiding that eighth loss.
Avoiding the 8th loss, avoiding a historic losing streak, because in the Utes have never lost 8 straight in a single season. And so to avoid the historics of going 8 straight losses and really ending your first year in the Big 12 with just 1 win, I think it's good. But, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I don't really think it means a lot to those seniors.
Yeah.
But it's just an underachieving season for Utah that we're having this conversation with them sitting at 5-7.
So let's start there. I'm glad that you say that because this program is going to see a lot of change within the coming months.
Yes.
And that's whether or not Kyle Whittingham sticks around as a head coach. Even if he stays and is the head coach for 2025, I mean, this program is still going to see a lot of change. And I'm glad for the players. I'm glad for, fans and the coaching staff that they were able to go out on a high note. But ultimately, I don't want this win to cloud anybody's judgment about what needs to be done, about what needs to be fixed and what needs to be changed, because this is a very flawed program. We've seen that 2 years in a row. And I don't want people to think that just because they beat UCF in essentially a meaningless game, I don't want that to overshadow these looming changes that need to be made. I don't want people to think that things are fixed just because they did not lose an 8th straight game.
No, and it's far from it. However, it is a positive for them to just have something positive to hold on to at the end.
It's better than losing your last game of the season.
There you go. It's better than losing that final game. It's good to hang your hat on something positive. I feel like there's really not much that has gone the way Utah wanted it to go this year. So to just have this final win under your belt, get to 5-7, get that final win of the season to send off your seniors, just something positive to build off of. But like I said, in the grand scheme of things, it's not really going to change much for Utah, because now the question, as you mentioned, is what's next?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to the Utah Utes? What's going to happen to this program? There's so many questions now heading into this offseason.
So many questions. And a couple of key dates. Early signing day is on the 4th of December. The transfer portal window opens on the 9th of December. So I think the biggest thing obviously the biggest decision that needs to be made is whether or not Kyle Whittingham is going to stick around. And I would assume that he's going to make that decision sooner rather than later. I don't think he's going to really take a lot of time mulling over that. And then the offensive coordinator is a big deal. And I'd argue that's more important simply because the offense has been disastrous this year.
That, and I mean, you kind of have a little bit of clarity if Kyle Whittingham decides not to return to Utah next year. You already have the head coach in waiting. You already know who's going to be the next in line, right? You already know who's going to come over and take over this program. Right. The offensive coordinator, though, is a mystery. Who's going to come in and try to basically fix this offense?
If you are, a wide receiver coming out of high school looking to commit, if you are a player entering the transfer portal looking for a place to call home, who's going to make you want to come to Utah, right? Why would you want to go to Utah if they don't have anybody named yet? So I would expect that probably to be named first before Kyle Whittingham's decision. And I would argue that maybe is more important because, again, the offense has just been so lackluster, especially this year. And injuries, Cam Rising, yada, yada, who cares? Like, they should not have been this bad even without Cam Rising. It was a masterclass in failure.
It's just interesting to me that, did we not learn anything from last season? Did we not learn from what happened last year? It feels like we're singing the same tune for Utah, man. It's and this isn't a knock on Isaac because I do think Isaac has potential, but was he really the best option for you this year?
No, he never should have been the backup. Never, ever. And the fact that it was Brandon Rose and Sam Heward and then all of a sudden Sam Heward was hurt and nobody really knew until it was time for him to play, honestly. And Brandon Rose did a couple nice things, but eventually he got hurt, and they wound up starting Luke Batari, their essentially fifth-string quarterback. And this, again, Alex, this is a year after they had to go through Bryson Barnes and Nate Johnson and Luke Batari again, and it's like they didn't learn a single thing from last year. But
Well, and then last year it seemed like they had a room that could get the job done.
in times,
There was some good performances
they
from Bryson.
didn't lose 7 in a row.
There you go.
Right.
It was a much better, in my opinion, it was a much better season last year. And again, to just not, it feels like the lessons from last season just weren't learned, and we ended up in the same situation where, except this time, there wasn't necessarily guys or depth in that quarterback room that could get the job done when Cam Rising went down.
Yeah. So I guess that's a big question is you've got Isaac Wilson returning, Brandon Rose, I'm assuming I don't know how many of these players are going to hit the portal. I know they had a couple players announce midway through the year that they are going to sit out and enter the transfer portal. So we will see how hard Utah dips into that transfer portal to bring somebody in. I know they're going to be cautious. I mean, I look at BYU and what they did last year, bringing in the transfer portal quarterback, and he didn't work out, and they ended up having to go to Jake Retzloff. And I would think that, most of the time when a quarterback especially enters the transfer portal, more often than not, they're in the portal for a reason. And it's because they didn't work out. You have certain players, certain examples that do work out, like Jaden Daniels. He went to LSU and won the Heisman. Cam Ward is in the Heisman conversation, has Miami in the college football playoff. But, for every one of those guys, there's probably 5 or 10 guys that are going to flame out because the truth is that they're not that good. So I have a real worry that Utah is going to be in the same scenario next year, because if their plan is to just fix the quarterback position with a Band-Aid, with the transfer portal kid, that's not the best way to go.
No, because you just need to have, if Utah can go out, hit the portal, and bring in a guy who's not only going to lead the offense, but also teach Isaac and teach Brandon, I think that would probably be best case scenario. You bring in a guy who can be your QB1 next season, and really, obviously it's going to come down to, whoever takes over the offensive coordinator position and whatever new system or new things Utah tries to do on offense, someone who can really lead that offense under this new offensive coordinator, but at the same time can teach Isaac and teach Brandon for the quarterback plan down the road.
I think, and this may be controversial, you can tell me what you think on this. I think the best plan for Utah is to put all your eggs in Isaac Wilson's basket. I would say get an offensive coordinator that can take advantage of his strengths and turn him into the quarterback that he can be. And we saw flashes this year. The Utah State game was excellent. He had some good throws in the Colorado game, but he also had a lot of plays that were just flat-out misses. Some big overthrows on receivers, just poor decision-making, turnovers. So it's hard saying, let's go back to that kid. Let's put all of our faith into Isaac Wilson. But the fact of the matter is, Alex, he was put in such a poor scenario this year, I would never expect him to succeed. It's not fair to ask that out of an 18-year-old kid.
Right.
He was with no preparation.
Yes. He was thrown into a really bad situation. And I mean, he tried to make the most of it, but in reality, the offense really, really struggled this year. And so that's why I'm kind of opposite of where you stand right now. I think eventually, sure, we can throw all the eggs into the Isaac Wilson basket, but I do think it would be beneficial for him to maybe take a back seat next season behind someone with more experience, someone who can teach Isaac before Isaac is given the keys to the offense again.
That makes sense, too. So my biggest worry, though, is that college football now is such a win-now game. Players want to play now. They want to win now. They want to get rich quick now with NIL. I don't think that players are willing to transfer and sit. Or in Isaac Wilson's case, I don't think he's willing to stay and sit. And I could be totally wrong. Maybe he is. But my speculation is that, with how much money that these quarterbacks can make from NIL, there's a real chance that, if they come to Isaac Wilson and they say, hey, I think our plan is for you to probably be backup or third string again next year and take more of a learning year and maybe redshirt. If I am Isaac Wilson, I'd say, heck no, I can go make a couple $1 million being the starting quarterback at some, bottom of the Big Ten or maybe top G5 school.
Right. And I would hope that's not the mentality that he has. I would hope that if Utah decides to bring in just somebody to help Isaac and somebody with a little bit more experience who can potentially lead that offense next season, I hope Isaac can take that opportunity to learn and really digest and figure out a Utah offense. But I think, kind of in that scenario, where does Cam Rising end up in all this?
I know, and we haven't even brought that up, that there is potentially a scenario where Cam Rising comes back for his 8th season. And Kyle Whittingham has not ruled that out. He keeps getting asked about it in his weekly press conferences on Mondays. And last Monday, he said that they were going to talk this week, right?
Right.
So we don't know what the outcome of that conversation was. I'm sure that we're going to know before December 9th, before the transfer portal opens. Because, again, if you're kind of same thing, right? If you're Cam Rising and you have this opportunity to make NIL money, this is money that you're probably not going to be able to make the rest of your life. Being the starting quarterback for a Power 4 Division I football team, that can earn you life-changing money. And so if you're Cam Rising, why would you turn that down at a shot to go undrafted and get cut by some NFL team,
Yeah, but I think at this point, and this is just me, this is just what I think, and I think it's just time to move on. It's just time for a new era.
For Utah.
For Utah, yes. It's just time to we can't keep relying on Cam Rising because, what happened to Cam Rising last year?
He got hurt.
What happened to Cam Rising this year?
He got hurt, and it tanked the program both seasons.
It's time for a new era. It's time to move on.
I'm with you there 100%.
Yeah.
But can they? I don't know if Utah feels the same. I don't know if Utah would be able to say no. I know it's easy for us to sit here because we have to come talk about it every Saturday about how horrible it is to watch this Utah offense when Cam Rising gets hurt. But if you're Utah and Kyle Whittingham, I don't know if you're able to say no. I don't know if you're able to look this kid in the eyes who took you to 2 Rose Bowls, won you 2 Pac-12 championships. I don't know if you're able to look Cam Rising in the eyes and say, hey, Cam, we appreciate you wanting to come back for an 8th year. You're 25 years old. You're going to be 26 in May. We appreciate that, but it's time for us to move on. I don't know if anybody in the Utah program is willing to do that.
So, if I can give my 2 cents on this one, if Utah says Cam Rising can come back and it's like, oh yeah, come back, Cam, things will be different this time, then they just show they're a very unserious program.
Oh, hot
and
take.
Like realistically, because you're letting the past cloud the future, and you can't do that. Alex, you said it perfectly. He got hurt last year. He got hurt this year, and we love Cam. We do. We love everything he's done for us. He's such a Utah guy, and he's such a stud, and we'll love him forever. Enshrine him in the Hall of Fame of Utah quarterbacks. But it is time to move on. He is too old. He's too banged up. It is time for something new, and you got to get someone that knows how to make that something new work now and work in the future.
See, and the scenario I have in my head, like I said, with the guy coming in and helping Isaac learn while Isaac takes a back seat, that could be Cam Rising. But then what happens when he goes down again?
Right.
We're just going to be repeating the same cycle.
Well, and most of the time I have a problem when people use the term injury prone because it is incredibly hard to predict injuries. But when you have a player that missed all of last season because of a knee injury, he's dealt with multiple concussions, he comes back in his second game, even if it was a freak accident, he gets hurt, and then literally as soon as he comes back, he gets hurt again. You can't do that. As the Utah program, again, it's all about win now. There is no such thing as being patient in college football anymore. That's gone. It's out the window. Boosters want to see this program win now. Fans want to see this program win now. Especially when you've got BYU down the road who looked dead to rights. They looked like, oh, we're bringing Jake Retzlaff out again. Maybe we'll get bowl eligible this year, and then they're able to turn it around and be in the conversation for the conference title game.
Yeah.
Boosters they see that and they say, why can't that be us? Why can't we fix this quick? And I know earlier I was talking about being optimistic with the transfer portal, but I'm just saying that there is an urgency right now in college football where you have to make smart decisions and you have to make the right decisions. And most of the time, those decisions don't include waiting and being patient. You don't have the luxury of, okay, we'll bring Cam back and see if he's healthy.
Right.
Because, again, as you pointed out, that has not happened the last 2 years. I have no faith in that happening next year.
So then that just begs the question, and for Utah, does win now mean and look like almost a rebuild this offseason? You just go shopping in the portal, throw as much money as you can into the portal, bring in some guys who can eventually get you to that win now state next season?
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other conversation because Utah has no money compared to other programs. Compared to these guys that they're trying to compete against, I mean, Utah's NIL resources are extremely limited. So, yeah, they have to pick and choose where to spend their money. And obviously, if they're able to say no to Cam Rising, or in whatever scenario, if Cam Rising does not come back next year, that does open up quite a bit of money, quite a bit of resources that was being dedicated to a certain player. So maybe that helps ease their decision a little bit. Maybe they're able to say, sorry, Cam, like we are not able to pay you your price tag. We would rather spend that money elsewhere. So we'll see.
That'll be an interesting conversation.
December 9th, coming up quick. But if you're listening in right now, what I want you to do, I want to hear what you have to say about this offseason that Utah has ahead of them, the offensive coordinator hire, the transfer portal window, Cam Rising's decision. I want to hear what you have to say. So download the KSL Sports app, go to the bottom left corner, tap the button that says call in. You can send in 60 seconds of recorded audio, and if it's good, we'll play it. So go and do that.
We'd love to hear from you.
I mean, I think this is such an interesting kind of case study of where college football has gotten to, because you've got a program that was so good over the past decade.
Yeah.
And back-to-back seasons of just sheer and utter disappointment. So how do you fix this?
Where do you look?
Where do you look?
How does the philosophy change to evolve to the new era of college football? That's the question.
Let us know what you think. I want to hear it. Coming up next, I want to replay Kyle Whittingham's post-game sound from last night. It might be his last post-game presser. We don't really know what the future holds for him. So I want to hear what Whittingham had to say after his big win last night. Stay tuned. We'll play that next. This is the Saturday Show 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles with me. Ohio State just kicked the field goal to go up 3-0 over Michigan midway through the first quarter. Clemson and South Carolina still 0-0. Vanderbilt up 14-0 over Tennessee. Kansas and Baylor tied 7-7. You got the quad box up on the TV, Alex.
It's the best. Being out here on the Saturday show and being able to watch all the games and all the action in college football, it's the best part about
It's a big
Saturdays.
day today.
It is a huge day. It's rivalry week in college football, right? You got the game going on. You got Vanderbilt over here taking it to Tennessee at the moment, except Tennessee just scored a touchdown, so never mind.
They're still down, though.
Yeah, they're still down. But
Breaking news, though, from our guy Steve Bartle, Utah insider for KSLSports.com. All-American kicker out of Murray High School just down the road, Dylan Curtis, has committed to Utah. 3-star prospect. That's big.
yeah, it's huge. And I think mostly because there's been, I mean, obviously we go back to last week to the Iowa State game, and Cole Becker misses the potential game-tying field goal, and I feel like field goals have been a struggle for Utah this
It's hard to put that particular field goal on Cole Becker because of the dumb penalty that knocked him back, and then what was it, a 54-yard field goal, which I wouldn't expect a college kicker to make anyways. But regardless, over the past couple of seasons, Utah has had problems with its kicking, not just field goals, but kickoffs as well. They've had a problem getting touchbacks, which should not be an issue here in Salt Lake City.
Absolutely. And so I think for them to go out and get a commitment from a kicker, an All-American kicker, it's good.
Local kid.
Yeah, local kid. Good business.
That's awesome.
Good bit of business there for Utah.
Alex, let's talk more about this Utah win over UCF last night. Going out with a win. Snapping the 7-game losing streak. Utah had not won since they beat Oklahoma State. Feels like 5 years ago. Right?
It was 5 years ago, Christian.
It felt like so long. But regardless, the Utes got the win. Players going out on top. I mean, Mekhi Bernard, shout out to him. He cracked 1,000 yards for the season, which is a huge accomplishment for a guy who really just puts in the work. And he's one of the true dogs on this team, one of the true leaders as a senior. So I was very happy to see him reach that accomplishment. Luke Batari opened the season as the 5th-string quarterback. Didn't have phenomenal stats, but he threw a touchdown and led the team to victory. That's all you can expect. The defense showed up and showed out. Zamiah Vaughn and Smith Snowden both had a pick 6, so that was awesome. Again, they held UCF to only 14 points. So this is a defensive unit that has been very good all year, but over the last couple weeks, aside from that Colorado game, they've truly been elite. So it was really good to see these guys go out with a bang.
I think you have to give a lot of credit to the seniors, right? It's their last game suiting up as a Utah Ute, and they put on some good performances. You mentioned Mekhi Bernard, who super happy that he was able to get over 1,000 yards, ended up with 87 in this game. Obviously, Luke Batari, he's also heading out, only had the 111 yards, but 2-0 as a starter for the Utah Utes. Yeah. Undefeated, Luke Batari.
And he beat Colorado last year.
There you go. Undefeated. Luke Batari, as a senior, heading out in his final game, gets the win. And then, obviously, you have Zamiah Vaughn, who's also probably just played his last game as a Ute. And so he gets the pick 6. And so I really like the performance from the seniors. I thought they did a phenomenal job stepping up and allowing Utah to end the season on a positive note with the win. I also want to give a huge shout out to Williams, the receiver. A lot of injuries in that receiver to main targets in the receiver room, right?
Yeah.
Brant Keithy, Money Parks, Manny McClain obviously couldn't play in this one, and so for Williams as a freshman to step up and have 72 yards,
72 of the 111 receiving yards, by the way.
Preferred target for Luke Batari last night, obviously, and for him to have that long 33-yard catch, huge performance from the freshman. Really excited about his promise for the future.
There you go. Alex, I want to hear from head coach Kyle Whittingham. We were not able to play his post-game press conference last night because we didn't have anybody in Orlando. But let's hear what Whittingham has to say because it's available now. This is Coach Whitt after the 28-14 win over UCF last night.
Boy, that was good to be able to send our seniors out their last game with a win. Just great effort on defense. That was the number one offense in the Big 12 statistically coming in, and defensive guys did a great job. Scored twice on defense. Held them to way less than what they've been averaging, and so very pleased with that. Offense did just enough to win the game. I don't believe we turned the ball over, so that's been positive offensively. Not turning the ball over. Didn't have real gaudy numbers on offense, to say the least, but again, didn't put the defense in any bad situations, and so that was the formula: is play great defense and take care of the ball offensively, and that's what we did. Some real positives. Kai Bernard goes over 1,000 yards with his production tonight. It was great to see Zacharias Williams, a true freshman, do some really good things. I think he's going to be a really good player. Caught a bunch of balls, I think 5 or 6 balls, leading receiver for us. He's a tough kid, got good size, good speed. Good to see, like I said, the defense perform as a whole, and 2 pick sixes in one game. That's 3 pick sixes in the last 3 games, I guess it would be. So that's a big plus for us. Field goal kickers did a nice job. We lost Cole Becker in the first half. He had an injury that prevented him from kicking the rest of the way. So our true freshman, Coleman, who has been kicking off most of the year, came in and seemed very comfortable kicking field goals and kicking the ball. So yeah, really good positive way to end the season. Had a lot of adversity this year that we faced, but these guys just kept hanging in there. Like I said, all the last 2 months, they no drop off in their work ethic, no drop off in their focus, their concentration, how they approach their business. Pleasure to coach, even though we far from where we wanted to be and different season than what we had hoped for. Still can't say how much I think of these seniors and this team as a whole. So very positive. Questions?
So it seemed like Zamaya's pick six kind of jump-started things and got things going. Obviously the defense in general did, but what was there anything about that maybe changed the emotions of the game or anything to help you?
Well, pick six is always an igniter for a lot of emotion, and particularly on your defensive side of the ball. And that was a great pick and an exceptional run by him. And you saw how fast he is, and a great job by the defense executing the interception return process that we drill every single week. So yeah, it definitely gave us a spark and really a shot of adrenaline for us.
How do you approach the next week or so, given your impending decision?
I don't want to talk about that. That's not about me. I don't want to even bring that up. Let these guys enjoy this win. It's all about our players tonight, and just proud of them. And I'd rather just leave it at that for tonight.
Coach, you guys had 2 pick sixes and a fumble that turned into 3 points. What were you guys seeing from UCF's offense that allowed the defense to capitalize?
Well, we just Coach Scally does a great job every week with his preparation and his film study, and nobody prepares any better for a game than Morgan Scally, but then it doesn't matter what the coach knows; it matters what the players know. So he does a great job of conveying information and knowledge to his players and tips and tendencies for the week, and that really was a product of that. Just knowing what was coming before it was coming because of film study and really good coaching. And his whole staff, the whole staff does a good job.
Sorry. Obviously, you wanted to have better success this year, but how important is it to get the win to propel you into next year? I know it changes, obviously, transfer portal and all that stuff, but how important is that?
Yeah, it's a positive. I mean, you certainly want to go out with a win rather than the alternative, but it does give you some momentum going into the off season, positive feeling, but still, far away from where we wanted to be, and a lot of circumstances this year contributed to that, but very positive and proud of our guys, and mainly for hanging in there, because you start having week after week of no success. A lot of teams are just cashing in and just not even give any effort. These guys just continue to give great effort every single week.
Kai Bernard gets over 1,000 yards on the season. What has he meant to this program?
He's been huge this year. He's been the vast bulk and majority of our rush game this year. He's by far got the most carries and the most production, and talk about a guy who maybe thought he was done playing football last year to what he accomplished this year is pretty impressive, and we're elated that obviously he was on our team this year and came back for this last year.
You mentioned it wasn't the most offensively gaudy stats, but what did you see from the offense to be able to kind of keep you guys in the game?
Yeah, well, they didn't turn it over, like I said. They kept control of the football and took care of the football. Didn't put our defense in any bad field situations. We didn't make a whole bunch of first downs either, but enough to move the chains and flip the field and give the defense some room to operate.
Coach, speak about UCF running back R.J. Harvey, one of the rusher in the nation, and he broke the touchdown record for UCF tonight. Terrific player. My thought is he'll be playing at the next level for a lot of years. He's a really good player. He's tough. He's fast. He's got great contact balance, vision, and obviously the production speaks for itself. The #1 touchdown getter in the history of the school. So, very impressed with that young man.
Each game, you've said that this team hasn't given up on fight, and after this game, you said you guys earned this win. How special was it to see, I guess, them come out with this win, given that so many games have been so close? There's been controversies in multiple games.
Yeah.
Walk me through your emotions.
Well, it's very rewarding to see him have a chance to have some positive fruits from their labors. They've been working hard week after week and not much to show for it, and nothing to show for it in terms of W's for 7 weeks in a row. And so, for them to show the character and the resiliency and the ability to handle adversity and come back and for one more time together and put together a game like that was very positive for us, for them. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Kyle.
There you go. Kyle Whittingham, after the 28-14 win over UCF. He didn't want to speculate on this, Alex, but was that his last game as a Ute?
I do think it was. I do think that his answer to the question about his future was a good answer.
Yeah, the win last night was about the players. It was
Right.
about these seniors and about the players that were able to go out with the win.
I don't know how much we want to look into it and read into it, because I do think obviously it's the seniors' final game. Then this senior class has brought so much to this program. I like the answer of, hey, I don't want to talk about that right now. Let's focus on the guys who've earned the win, who have earned being amongst probably some of the best seniors that we've seen in Utah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys that are going out this year were part of some really good football teams. And so it's kind of like the end of an era, right? And that's why there is a lot of speculation about Kyle Whittingham, because it seems like this would be a good time for him to kind of depart with these guys who were able to really put this program on the map nationally. Because the fact of the matter is, Alex, they are entering a rebuild.
Yes.
Whether that rebuild takes one off season or whether it takes a couple years, who knows? But you've got all these guys transitioning out, and it was kind of their last dance. So it's only a natural thing to wonder if Kyle Whittingham, one of the longest tenured coaches in the country, is going to say goodbye with some of these guys.
It would make sense to like you mentioned, this group of seniors accomplished a lot. The back-to-back Pac-12 championships, the back-to-back Rose Bowl appearances. And so it would make sense to kind of enter, because everything about Utah the last couple of weeks has been screaming rebuild to me. So it would make sense to kind of move on to the rebuilds with Morgan Scalley just taking the head coaching position. Right.
And that's kind of the weird part about the next couple of weeks, because, again, the transfer portal opens on December 9th. I would hope that they have an offensive coordinator hired sooner rather than later. But for the offensive coordinator and for the players that are going to want to come to Utah in the transfer portal, I mean, the first question that should be coming out of their mouths, the first question they're going to ask is, how much am I going to get paid? What they should be asking, though, is, who is my head coach going to be? Because that matters.
Yes.
And Morgan Scalley has been a great defensive coordinator. There's no doubt about that. But we don't know how he's going to be as a head coach. And I'm not trying to be optimistic. I'm just saying, or cautious. I don't want to be cautiously optimistic. I don't want to be cautious about it. But we don't know how Morgan Scalley is going to perform as a head coach. And at the same time, if Whittingham remains as the head coach, there's questions there too. Because it's like, okay, can this guy win in today's game because we haven't seen it the last 2 years.
And I do like the fact that, we've heard from Kyle Whittingham throughout the week that, because I believe that this question was asked to him on Monday, where they said, how does it impact recruits? How does it impact players in the transfer portal when there's questions about the future, about your future and about the future of this program? And he said they're very transparent with their recruiting. And they say, hey, we already have a plan in place. This is the guy who's going to take over. And
right.
I think that at the end of the day, that does help in attracting your recruits and attracting your transfer portal targets. To have that plan in place, I think it's a really important piece, whether or not we don't know Kyle Whittingham returns next year or not.
I'm on the other side of the fence, to be honest with you. Like, I get that there's a plan in place, but it's like, okay, is that plan next year? Is it the year after? Like, I feel like that does matter. And maybe they are kind of telling these recruits, like, hey, we're leaning this way, one way or the other. But I feel like that would matter to a kid. And maybe it doesn't. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I never played at that high of a level. So I don't know how much that matters. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But you're right, Alex. They do have a plan in place, and everybody has confidence in Morgan Scalley, and I think that's the biggest thing. And he's done a phenomenal job as a defensive coordinator. I know a lot of the bones were built from Kyle Whittingham, but obviously Scalley has had this defense as one of the top in its conference each of the last however many years. So I do believe that there's reasons to really believe in Morgan Scalley. Whether that is 2025, 2026, who knows? But we'll see.
We shall see.
All right. We're going to take another break. Coming up next, we are going to do technical fouls. We have one of the most blatant, one of the most horrendous, one of the most obvious technical fouls in the history of this segment. Coming up next, you won't want to miss who it is. This is the Saturday Show 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's the Saturday Show 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time for one of our favorite segments of this show, technical fouls. Basically, we reward or talk about people with being stupid, being silly, some of the funnier things that happen in sports. We've got a couple, and we've got a huge one that I teased at the end of last break. I want to save that for last. So, Alex, why don't you start us off?
Obviously, last weekend was a wild weekend in college football. First of all, so many upsets in the top 25, so much great action going on. But I want to focus on the Marshall football team because there was a player, right? It's Marshall. There was a player on the Marshall football team that got into a scuffle with the cameraman in the middle of the game.
I saw that.
Chaos just erupts on the field after the win. I don't know why he went after the cameraman. I don't know what caused the whole situation. But for a Marshall football player went after a camera person.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
Who won the fight?
Probably the football player. I would say.
Okay. So you're telling me the cameraman couldn't beat the D1 athlete?
Yeah, there you go. My technical foul goes out to the Marshall football team. Charles Huff is his name. Charles Huff, you get my technical foul this week.
All right, I'm going to assess a technical foul to Trevor Skogerbo. Do you know who that is?
I don't.
You've never heard that name?
I have not heard that name.
All right, well, he is the equipment manager at Cal for the football team. He is an assistant equipment director. He went viral over the weekend for tackling a fan who was trying to steal a helmet following a 24-21 victory over Stanford. So if you haven't seen this video, this fan kind of goes up to those little PVC pipes that the helmets rest on, took a helmet off the pipe and started running. This dude, Trevor Skogerbo, it's like his spider sense tingles. He turns around, and I kid you not, Alex, he turns into Prime Ray Lewis. He chases this dude down and just perfect form, head through the hips tackle, takes him down. You are not taking a Cal football helmet.
No,
when Trevor Skogerbo was on the field.
Absolutely not. And I think the best part about that is the fact that they showed the viral clip to the team in team film, and the whole team's just hyping up this equipment manager because they all watched him take down the guy trying to steal the helmet.
Trevor, we've got a spot on the team for you. Guys, this is how you tackle.
He's going to be a walk-on next year.
Yeah, dude, that was great. I loved it. Shout out to Trevor for sticking up for his program.
Shout out Trevor.
All right. Trevor was invited to the Senior Bowl, by the way, I think to watch.
Oh, I was about to say, is the equipment manager?
I don't know. There's just a headline.
I would have invited him as the equipment manager.
Jim Nagy, who is part of organizing the Senior Bowl, he tweeted out, "Yes, this is real. This video went viral because he went Patrick Willis mode on the helmet thief." But in all seriousness, the level of care Trevor showed for his job made us want to reach out to him. Excited he'll be part of our equipment staff for Senior Bowl weekend.
Hey,
so he is going to be. Oh, that's awesome.
I love that.
Who said you don't win anything out of going viral?
Yeah, going viral is the way to go these days.
Well, time to get to the biggest technical foul, Alex. To the Chicago Bears, to Matt Eberflus. What a complete disaster of an organization. The way that this whole situation was handled was ridiculous. Everybody saw on Thanksgiving. The Bears had the ball. They were down. They needed a touchdown. 32 seconds left. And Caleb Williams audibles a play. Needs to scramble to get everybody into position. He's sitting there licking his fingertips. I think he even canned the play and changed the play at the line as the clock is just ticking away. They had a timeout left, and they elected not to use it, and then, they lost the game because they got a playoff, but it was incomplete. Anyways, Matt Eberflus was fired the next morning, Alex, and it's easy to say that he is deserving of a technical foul for his clock mismanagement, and maybe he is. Caleb Williams is to blame as well. I know you're a rookie, but come on, dude, you're a hot shot. You need to have the awareness of, okay, if our play is not getting called, if our players are not lining up right, we have a timeout to lose. Like, you can't take it with you. But the main technical foul I want to assess is to the Chicago Bears organization. There's no way that Eberflus should have been the head coach this year. That's completely, it's ridiculous. It was the wrong decision to begin with. That when you have the first overall pick, I get that it wasn't their first overall pick. They got it from the Panthers because they were bad.
Right.
But you have the chance to draft this player that is supposed to save your organization. Why would you stick with the head coach who at that point was 10-24? 10-24 as a head coach. And you get this quote-unquote generational prospect coming in, and you want to stick with this guy who's a defensive coach?
Well, do you remember how much hype was around this Bears team coming into the season?
Well,
after all the offensive weapons they added?
Right. And I get that, but there were stories that came out. Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Lions, one of the brightest young offensive minds in the league, he almost went to Washington last year to be their head coach, but he chose to return to Detroit because he said it wasn't the right fit. But he has come out and said that if Chicago would have fired Eberflus and offered him the job, he would have went. And so I just don't understand why the Bears would put themselves in this situation where midway through Caleb Williams' rookie year, not only do you fire the offensive coordinator because that was a bad hire, you now fire the head coach because he sucked as well. And by the way, the interim offensive coordinator who took over that job 3 weeks ago, he is now the interim head coach for the remainder of the season. Talk about just a total mismanagement of Caleb Williams' rookie year. And say what you want about him, coming out of USC and whatever. I'm just speaking from a pure perspective of, this kid was the number one overall pick. You should want him to succeed, right? And I just don't see how the Bears helped him at all.
You know what I think is the best part about this whole situation?
What's that?
You have the game Thursday, the debacle, the mismanagement. Everybody saw it. Friday morning, you let Matt Eberflus go up to the media, have his press conference where he says that he's confident he's going to be coaching the Bears in the game against the 49ers next week, and he's going to get ready to prepare to play against the 49ers. And then within 2 hours, the announcement comes out that he's been fired because while he's having this press conference, the people within the Bears organization are having a meeting that he's not aware of where they're saying, hey, we're going to can this guy. Why would you let him get in front of the media if you're going to can him?
They shouldn't have even let him back on the plane back to Chicago.
It makes no sense.
No, that's ridiculous. They should have ruined his Thanksgiving. They should have said, yeah, sorry, dude.
Hey, buddy, we're
I hope you've got family in Detroit.
we're not going to fly you back. You know, who was it? Was it Kiffin who got left at the tarmac when he got fired from USC? Same situation. You could have done the same thing. Be like, hey, buddy, we're not going to take you back.
Just talk about a completely unserious organization in the Chicago Bears, right? You've got the Lions, who are Super Bowl contenders, and then you've got the Packers and Vikings, who are legit playoff teams that could make a deep run as well. And it seems like those three teams over the last 5 years have been consistent threats. Meanwhile, the Bears have just been there. They're the black sheep of this division, and there were a lot of expectations because of Caleb Williams, which, yeah, he was the number 1 overall pick, but oh my goodness, did they butcher this situation. And talk about, stunting growth and ruining Caleb Williams and all that. Like, that is a very real threat because you were not smart enough to go and get an offensive-minded head coach to help this dude out in his first season in the NFL.
Wild.
It's wild.
Wild stuff from the Bears.
And they're going to reap what they sow. We'll see how Caleb Williams can make the best out of this because he is in a very tough situation now, and I do feel bad for him. But, yeah, so technical foul to the Chicago Bears. All right. Coming up next, Alex, let's talk BYU. They've got a big game tonight. They are playing Houston, and if they win, they need a little bit of help from some outside teams, but there's still a chance the Cougars can make the Big 12 title game. We'll talk about that next. This is the Saturday Show, 97.5 DKSL Sports Zone.